Access approved. So let's try it again. I don't know. Like we're live everywhere else, and we don't know if we're live on TikTok. Okay, maybe TikTok misses out today. Yeah, we're live everywhere else. All right. Hello and welcome to F1000, the last race before the summer break. My favorite track, Mike. Spa, the Belgian Grand Prix. How you doing today? This is great. We just trade off weeks of who's hungover. At least one of us is here to steer the ship. Okay, well, I think it's wise. We have to start at the top because the reality is, Mike, we have two outliers, two wild cards starting on the front row. I did not expect to have Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez on the front row today. And I'm interested. I think one of them might stay up there. It was Checo that I'm thinking of. And here's what I'm thinking, Mike. He's not behind the eight ball this week. His job, like I've been saying for a few weeks, he's there to be Max's teammate. He knew, hey, Max is getting a 10-place penalty this week. We knew that ahead of time. So Checo, your job this week is to get into Q3. Maybe get it onto the front row and stay up there and slow everyone down, cause some havoc, help Max get back through the field. And because this isn't a weekend where he's out in Q1. Can't hear Mike. Oh, because I didn't hit the setting. Thank you, fans. Oh, for those of you that are here that have just been listening to me talk, there's a button that says automatically mute the output. And that's the templated setting. All right, Mike, can we get a check 1 2 from you?
Right, testing. You want a testing? Are we in? Well, it must be you. If you unclick the click box, everything's fine. Right?
I hope
that's
so.
how it works.
I hope so.
It's
TikTok said don't go live today. It's one of those mornings, but we're here to win money, so
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to make of that.
I think we've got some people. I see some people in Instagram. If you can hear Mike, give us a thumbs up. Let us get a confirmation here.
I feel like you click the button, so everything's fine.
I did.
That's usually how it works.
That is usually how it works.
Okay, I'm feeling quite confident that people can hear me, and it's good because I feel like I'm gonna have to really take you down on the Checo take here. First of all, you're the least confident guy in Checo of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You have the most popular video on Instagram. So the race is going to be, it looks like, about tire deg and managing tire deg, and this resurfacing that they did of the track surface looks like it's going to play a massive role in it, and it makes me lean toward the Red Bull into Checo because of the massive wing that they're both running.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think Checo does? He stays on the podium in the end? So what's your point? Like, what are you looking to take with Checo, I guess, in the end?
There were two that I wrote down. Checo podium is interesting. It's plus money, but I don't know if I love that. No. The other one I was looking at, but I think it's jumping too far ahead for this stage. We can get to it. Was pinning Red Bull versus McLaren on who's going to get more points. Because we have Checo starting up there already. So it requires both McLarens to pass him.
It makes me think that you're leaning toward, you think that Red Bull has the advantage here.
I think so, yeah.
You think that Red Bull has the advantage here, okay.
Max,
I'm glad that, yeah.
That's why I wanted to talk about Checo, because Max certainly has the advantage over both McLarens. And then it's simply the fact that Checo's through to Q3 even, that he's up there this week. He's in contention to be one of those four cars that are competing, as opposed to the past couple of weeks where it was two McLarens versus a Red Bull, where it was only Max. Checo, I think, could be a factor on a track that we know suits the Red Bull, suits his car.
Yeah, It does. It definitely does. Inherently, they have. It's like almost the opposite, I'd say, for like a car like Mercedes, who look at it like as a bogey track for whatever reason. I think, well, it's not for whatever reason. The Red Bull is extremely efficient from an aero perspective. They get an enormous advantage by being able to run a huge rear wing and taking advantage of the DRS with two sets of the hard tire.
Neither Red Bull do. Neither Red Bull do.
And it looks more and more, and I mentioned before that this is going to be a race that's probably dominated by tire deg and managing the tires, which is different for Spa. This is purely a symptom of the resurfacing that's happened. It looks like the two, like medium hard, or some combination of those two hards is going to be the optimum strategy to manage degradation.
So Pirelli put out a graphic. Now they don't have a time delta, so they don't really. It doesn't tell me which of the three is faster, but they are suggesting that a medium hard, a medium hard medium, or a medium hard soft are all viable race strategies. So the fact that they include one that uses all three tires, is that just what Red Bull's going to do?
Possibly. I would say running the bigger wing allows them probably to manage deg better than anybody else in the field, theoretically. But I'm trying to think, like, have we seen this before in some ways? Like, this was kind of a conversation that happened in Miami, and the McLaren, ever since they brought the upgrade to Miami, is really great on its tires. Like, how many times have we seen Lando coming through or extending the stint because the car just inherently seems to be very gentle on its tires? And here you have Red Bull having to do things mechanically, like increase the amount of downforce that they're running with a bigger wing. And clearly that's been done purposefully because they have the high aero efficiency, but it's being done to make sure that they can manage the tires a little bit better. I think that the penalty that McLaren took in qualifying by running a slimmer wing, running less drag, is going to pay off immensely in the race. From the perspective of, if one of them can get ahead of Checo, like, I get that maybe Checo comes back at them with the DRS, he gets an advantage there, but they should in theory have a straight line speed advantage. And that's where the overtaking happens for the most part of the spot. And that's they set themselves up specifically for this, and potentially they have the optimum strategy from a tire perspective because they both held back the sets of the hard tire. I don't know. Like, I really honestly meant it's a coin flip to me, and I'm like, is there a way that we can just avoid making those picks altogether? Like, we don't have to pick a winner. Is there anything that you're leaning towards, like Checo podium? I'm like, there's four guys in three spots. I'm like, I don't know if I want to make that bet.
I don't disagree, but let me continue to paint on top of your picture. I agree with your points when we're talking about Max and Lando. The setup change, the setup decisions that Lando made for qualifying, I think are going to assist him in the race. He's got the smaller wing. It's supposed to be dry today. I mean, who knows what happens during the race? We get 20 minutes of rain out of nowhere. But
that's fair too.
So I agree with you. I think, like, I don't want to pick between Lando and Max, and all of the drivers, including Lewis, including Charles, everyone says it'll be Max and Lando battling for the win. Where I'm thinking is between the Checo and the Oscar, and there's a number of ways that we can look at maybe whether it's one of those two and we're picking the podium. I'm not sure I love that because I think Lewis has a chance to potentially still be up on that podium. The most team points.
No.
Potentially.
Okay, go.
Okay.
No.
Let me finish my thought on Oscar and Checo.
Sorry. Yeah, do that.
Checo's there this week, right? I said that at the start. So he's not. This isn't Checo starting in 13th, expecting something from him. He's up there. But where this really starts to come together for me is on Oscar. And what we know about Oscar with his tires is he can't attack. He can defend and hold on to his tires. But when we start thinking about him, I mean, I don't know, is he going to attack Lando, or are they just going to tell the boys to play nice again with each other? But he's going to have to attack Lewis. He's going to have to attack Checo, and at some point get past Charles. Is he going to have the tires, let alone Max probably is coming through him? Thumbs up on the Riverside. Max is probably coming through him at some point. So if we're talking about whether it's for the podium or just hey, Max and Lando are going to battle it out. I happen to think that Max probably wins that battle because he's got the new engine and the Red Bull just looks like a rocket ship here. Then we're talking about, okay, well, what are their teammates doing? And that's why I went to the most points. I maybe it is a bit of a toss-up, but I might like Checo better than Oscar. Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
Maybe. It's maybe crazy. I don't know, man. Like what did they do? I'm just looking back at some of the FP2 data, but I know that Red Bull kind of changed their setup because that was when they were doing the long runs. I was like, oh, like Oscar looks really competitive. I think he ran the medium and Lando ran the soft, so he didn't get like a direct comparison. But what Max changed his car though? I'm looking back through my notes to see. I maybe that's the wrong direction to go in anyway. I'm just thinking, like, I think Checo was off the pace in terms of his long runs in FP2, but they definitely made some changes to the car for sure. Oh man,
25.
like my gut has been leaning to McLaren this whole weekend, but I don't have a case. And then I thought that the tire allocation was going to be a deciding factor in who during this conversation that I was leaning to, but I don't know, man. I'm still on the defensive about it. Sorry, just throw me up, like send me a prop. You like podium finish, yes or no?
Red Bull,
Sergio
no.
Perez,
Okay, so I came into the podiums just to see where the book was leaning or what it was suggesting. I mean, Oscar's not even money, but equal bets for on the podium or not, and then Checo's the next one. So they certainly see those two being third and fourth, but quick math, like so. Where the prop I was looking at was most team points, and this is going to require some early morning math. First is 25. Second and third would be 18 and 15. So that's 33. Yeah. Fourth is then 12 plus 25 is 37. Yeah. So it might be a bet on does Max win the race over Lando. But Red Bull's plus money for most points.
It kind of is. Yeah, so that's essentially contingent on Max winning the race, though. Which I get, he's the betting favorite, but if Lando won, like you'd be okay. Like that's maybe we just avoid doing this if we can. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I don't love not betting on what's happening at the top.
Okay.
But I really don't know if I.
Let me take you to another prop. Let me take you to another prop.
Money on Red Bull is an interesting bet, but okay.
Before we move on from it, the math. Okay. Lando wins 25. Max is second, 18. Checo third. So 18, third. No. That would be the same as the math I just did. It comes down to who wins the race out of those two. So maybe there's a better way to bet on it, but I'm not sure I really want to pick that. I have a sense that I think it's going to be Max. He just starts so far behind him.
Yeah. He has to do you can't discount the fact that he has to come through the field and there's like inherent risk attached to that, whereas Lando has to do less.
But Max,
I don't know if there's a way that you can take that into account. I don't even know if we care to even do that. Do we want to look at something like Lando top two? I had that at minus 163.
It's just all very minus. Like Max and
it's all very minus. It's very minus, yeah.
Max and Lando duel to be 1-2 was minus 125, I think. Let me take you somewhere else.
I like that bet though. Okay, take me somewhere else.
Let me take you. I don't know. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to the top. Do you think Leclerc? How high up does Leclerc stay? And this isn't a bet on Leclerc, but I want to get your gut on. So he starts on pole, had pace for P2. Sounded like he kind of just pulled a lap out of his hat. Like Liam Lawson was saying, he was watching the sector times. Didn't look like Ferrari. Like Carlos was where Ferrari probably should be. And then Leclerc just pulled something out, found some grip.
He just found the grip on that lap. Whatever. He's a one lap magician, and I guess that type of thing happens. But I was looking I don't know. Is there any value on Leclerc anywhere? Like, what do you think? Do you think
he slips? Does he slip behind George Russell?
I don't know. I doubt that. Only because George had some quotes. Well, I said this actually earlier. Like George had some quotes after qualifying. I don't know. Mercedes, I really trust the direction again that Mercedes is going from a development perspective, but this is one of their bogey tracks. again, and this is what makes it so complicated, is that like Ferrari isn't, everybody sucks here, it seems like, except for McLaren and Red Bull. This isn't a great track for Ferrari. It's a lot of high speed. There's going to be a ton of bouncing for them. It's going to be a huge problem. They struggle with Deg. Fuck, maybe we are going to take Mercedes. I don't know.
No, I was thinking the other
Maybe,
way.
yeah.
Okay, so where I was going with this is Leclerc starts on pole.
Yeah.
George,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so I need to remind myself. George actually starts in sixth. So the assumption is Max does pass him, which everyone in the world has that assumption right now. But I was looking at George not to be in the top six. And really the only threat for him to sneak in is he gets past Leclerc or Checo. And that, I mean, now you see why I've started with, what do you think happens with Leclerc and Checo?
100%. I actually am interested in that, and I had that written down too, because again, I can't quite reconcile. Like, it seems like there's some evenness between, I would say the potential pace of the Mercedes is better than Ferrari. It's probably a lot better than Ferrari, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen. And based on what we've seen all weekend, they had the upgraded floor that they ran in FP2, and then they took it off the car. And I don't know, we didn't see them running the same spec car that they ran last week at all, because in qualifying it was wet, so we didn't really get to see. Like Mercedes could be, maybe they are better than they think they're going to be, because we haven't seen them without that upgraded floor on. They brought some upgrades that didn't look like they worked. They're saying, oh, no, they did work, but we just kind of suck here in general. I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's gamesmanship, if they're being completely honest when they say that. That might be another thing that I don't know if we can really pin down.
So are you moving away from you think George could be in the top six?
So one thing, well, I'm not, okay, so he could easily be in the top six. Like, he could end up finishing ahead of Leclerc. If Leclerc drops significantly, he could, right?
Yeah.
It's realistic. It's plus 110.
I mean, when are they going to pit Leclerc?
If anything happens at the front, he gets in. He automatically, essentially. I do like that it's plus money, though.
Okay. A little too scared. I'm gonna. You know what? I am gonna jot it down, because you said originally that you liked it.
I wrote it down. It's when I was looking through the book originally, it piqued my interest.
Okay.
Because I think there's potential that he gets locked out just by those 6 cars, right? Like, there is an opportunity for him to stay out. George is a psychopath. He might not even let Max by. He might run him off the road. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Was there anyone else?
Okay, I wrote down, so combination podium finish, yes. I did have Max. Will Max and Lando finish on the podium? It's minus 175. It's really, really short, but it's in our window. And it's like, yeah, we think it's going to happen. Like, if we don't think Oscar will be there without Lando, you're kind of going back and forth on Checo and being on the podium. If he's there, plus Lando, and Max is there, like we think everybody thinks Max is going to be there, then is that just a good way? Like, minus 175 actually seems kind of like, I would argue, longer than you would think this bet would be, based on how everything else is laid out in the book.
It's the fact that neither of them start in the top 10, or neither of them start on the podium.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I know.
Like, is it too short for the fact that they start 4th and 10th, 4th and 11th?
Is it like long enough that you're like, it's kind of crazy that one of these two guys looks like they're going to win the race, but you can get them both at minus 175?
I don't hate it.
They have to do a lot of work.
I don't hate it.
It's kind of a crazy bet.
Okay.
It's not good, but
okay, hold on a sec. Let me devil's advocate here. We were texting after last race. Do we want to be on Max from 11th? He's never run. We're not betting on him to win here, but he's never won from P11.
Yeah. I don't know. He's fucked us.
I mean,
there's 2 times.
He
ran into Lando and he ran into Lewis, and he's fucked us 2 times.
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks.
And there's going to be Deg here. And, I wanted to be mindful that this Red Bull's not immune to things like Deg and understeering anymore. So,
no, it's not.
When the car doesn't seem perfect for him, He seems to.
Yeah.
He can't just drive through his problems anymore to win races
Oh.
by 30 seconds.
The craziest part about this is you just go from, yeah, you saw the guy struggle and make some crazy decisions because the car just isn't doing what he wants it to do, and then you come to the track that under this rule set they have literally absolutely annihilated everybody on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a hard thing to reconcile. Is like, is that dominance just so strong, and everything we saw in the practice sessions and in quality, you're like, it's undeniable that he's going to be there. Everybody thinks it's going to happen. The guy that makes me feel the best about. I mean, Andrea Stella was saying, yeah, like he'll be around. He's going to be, he's going to be poking around. Lando obviously is saying, oh, he's going to win, right? Of course. I. This is like, for me, it seems like one of these situations where you were like, oh, we convince ourselves to be on Max. There's the risk that he does something stupid coming through the field, even though he doesn't have to. And this possibility of, yeah, maybe McLaren just has the best car now gets kind of like, I think it's getting swallowed up by all this Max mania here. Like, they might just have the best car. They might actually just be the best on Deg in the end. They might be the softest on the tires. I love the fact that they set up for the straight line speed, that we know that this is not going to be Spa 2 years ago where they have the giant wing, or last year, I guess, where they take a giant wing, and they're taking the opposite approach.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get left hanging out to dry on the straights this year.
They tried to learn from last year's mistakes, took a risky approach. The risk was maybe it rains in qualifying. And look where they are. 5-6 turns into 4-5. That was their risk. That was their penalty. They're there now, and they're set up for today.
100%.
The thing is, though, Mike, Max and Lando, that could be Lando, Oscar, Max. Like, if the McLaren is the dominant car with 2 championship drivers and they're going to go get a 1-2, who's the third? Who's on the podium?
But maybe
if it's not Max,
minus 175. Do you just take the minus 175?
That's what I'm saying.
I know you are. Okay. Well, that was immediately to me. I'm like, that's really short. You have to probably complement that with some longer stuff if we're going to make the traditional three bet ticket. But my gut was that why not just avoid having to make some of these hard decisions and just stick them both on the podium? Yes, it looks like it's the.
I think you're gone. I don't see you on my Streamlabs. I lost your video. I can hear you. I'm just watching. Are you disappearing off anything? No, you're definitely gone. We're going to do... You never get the viewers back. I see there we have some people on Instagram. We've lost Mike. We're gonna be right back. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. We got lots to talk about. We're just getting hot.